Okay, in theory, we are live. I'm just gonna check it out on my other account. Yes, there we go. We are live. Jay with Inside Jay's Skull. It's my little creative 3D type studio. Oops. Excuse the chaos with the camera. First live stream. I'm going to be doing a whole bunch of 3D printer maintenance on my Prusa i3 printers. So I'm going to deal with a bunch of stuff here like stuck filaments, temperature errors. I'm going to be replacing a few parts. I'll probably do a couple upgrades as well. And I'll be talking you through it to anyone who is actually going to join this completely off the cuff, random, unscheduled stream. So let's get started. So the first thing I am going to be doing is I'm going to be replacing or getting out some filament that has been stuck in this printer right here. Should be able to see. Yep, the filament is in there. It's kind of broken off on the top. So got to replace it, or not replace it, get it out. So just get the trusty little Allen key on your Prusa and just start taking it apart. Now, if you've put together your printer yourself, this won't be too hard of a process, but if you never have, it's not that hard either. You want to first start by taking out some of the screws on the top of the extruder holder. And then I've already taken apart the pin for the door latch because I'm going to be taking this whole assembly here off. And this is the one thing that I really have been finding that I do not like about the Prusa printers is that, yes, it only takes like 5 minutes to take apart and get ready to do some maintenance on it. But that's 5 minutes I'd rather spend doing something else. Just adjust this a bit here. Oops. Okay, that's better. That's the good thing about the monitors that slide up and down is if you place your webcam on top, you can just raise or lower your monitor. Okay. So to take this whole front end assembly off, it's going to take about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the larger screws where you need the larger hex nut for, or whatever this thing is, the Allen key, I suppose. Actually, as a kid, I used to call these alien keys. I guess I don't know, I either wasn't paying attention or just dyslexic, or who the hell knows? Who the hell knows? Anyway, so taking out these 5 screws will allow us to get access to the extruder, but we're of course not done. We're still going to have to take the fan off as well. And I'm actually not, I should check and see, let me see here. Okay. Okay. So it's working. There's a live chat. I actually don't know how to reply to the chat myself. But I guess if anyone does join the chat and you have something to say it. And if I see the message, I would talk to it. Oh, okay. And depending on which Prusa you get, you might need either one of these smaller things or one of these bigger things to take it out. But it's going to depend on the screw, so just get whichever one that fits. Like if it's a standard screw like this, it'll work good. But in my last few Prusas, they've been having some part shortages, so I got some different screws with it. So we'll just take out. I'm thinking you only really have to take out the parts, the screws that are on the right, and the rest of this enclosure should just pop right off here. Just give me a sec. Uh, yeah, I'm not exactly in a place where I can. And I guess I need to figure out why this thing is so off-centered. Oh, that's because of my monitor. Okay, well, I guess I can whatever. I will learn that for the next live stream. But I guess I can post this afterwards, and I'll probably do a couple of timestamps for some specific parts to figure out where there's actually fixing being done. Okay, so yeah, I did take the two side screws off, left the fan attached, and I've never tried that before, so that's actually now my new favorite way to take out the Prusa. Mine have gathered a little bit of dust, so it's a good idea to go and keep these clean. And you really should be trying to maintain your printer probably about every 100 or so hours worth of printing. Do a little bit of maintenance, like grease the bars at least. Check and see for any loose or worn parts. Make sure your hot end isn't sticky, that it's still securely attached. Let me see here. Yeah, like I said, bear with me on the cleaning. Okay, so now that we got those two things detached, the motor just slides right out. And we can now even pop out the hot end. And you can see, okay, so this filament just broke off. And looking down there, I can see that there is a jam. That's fine. So I'll see if I can get it for you guys to see here too. You might be able to see it, but it is clogged in there. So that means I'm just going to have to end up taking this whole heat sink off. And normally you can take it off just with hand pressure. That should be fine. And when you are manually raising the extruder assembly, you just want to make sure that you're doing it in a nice even way when you're moving both sides here. Take a little bit of the dust out. Okay. But yeah, so the hot end you should be able to just grab and twist off. There we go. And this will allow me to get access to everything. Okay, so I'm seeing here, like I have had some melting, but that's actually not too bad. Just dust that off, it's fine. The hot end and the bit is fine. I don't have to check those just because I know that with this printer, the only problem has really just been this jam in here. Oh, and this is actually working really nice. The PFTE tube is just sliding out. It's just sliding out. Oh, perfect. Okay. Yeah, so I can kind of see it on my side here. We'll see if you can see. You'll note the little bend in the filament at the top. So this one here was busted due to I ran out of filament. And this is something I've found a couple times. If you just let the filament go and run out, you do really want to spend some time. What's the word? You don't want to let it run out. Like, even though the run out sensor is in the Prusas and it does work, this stuff can still happen. So I'm just going to take my little screwdriver here and see if I can. Actually, I can use one of these smaller Allen keys. Not this one. I need a smaller one. Where's my box of Prusa stuff? Because I always have a box of all my Prusa stuff with all the extra little bits and pieces. I moved them downstairs. I'll be right back. Okay. Little Prusa box with all my little tools. Spare pieces, like spare hot end, zip ties, belt, everything. Up, and here it is, my little box of little things, little Prusa things. Oh, chainmail. I'm going to make a little video on this, but I do have a Thingiverse account, and you can actually download this yourself now. It's based off NASA's design. I also got a hex chainmail too up on there. And I'll update my link to this Thingiverse thing after the stream, or maybe during when I want to take a little bit of a break from maintenance. Oops. Okay. So I just popped that little bit of filament right out, and I'm just kind of doing a manual inspection of the filament, or the PFTE tube. It overall looks like it's in pretty good shape, so I'm just going to go ahead and reuse it. I do have extra PFTE if I need to for another repair a little bit later on. I'm just going to close all this off. And what I'm also going to do, let's see here. No, this one's degrading. I'm going to be putting on some silicone socks to the print head. Those are also downstairs. I'll also be right back. So yeah, inside JSkull, organization is not a priority because I know where everything is, as long as someone else doesn't move it on me. Be right back. Or maybe I did actually lose them because I don't know where they are here. They're not in my box of things. And I don't want to reuse this one that I have here because I can get into focus here. It's damaged, it's degraded, which is why I don't really want to be using this one here. Okay, so I can't find it. Okay, whatever. Moving on. So I do want to try and get this stuff done. I'll deal with that eventually. And I am also thinking that I'm going to reassemble some of this into like something more coherent after the fact. At least that's the idea, the plan. Okay. So while the silicon sock or silicone, I don't know. My brother's not here to correct me on the pronunciation of it. The silicone or silicon sock is really to act as an insulator to keep the temperature a little bit more stable in the hot end, and can kind of help to insulate it against drafts or breezes if you have your printer set up in a room that's not, or if you don't have your printer set up in an enclosure and you're printing materials that are very sensitive to changes in temperature. Just as well, like even a strong breeze can potentially even set off the heat temperature error, which will ultimately shut off your printer, and you don't have any way of restoring your print from that. So you lose the progress that you would have made, and you have to start over again. Or, and ideally, it ends on a flat layer, so you can actually uh, reassemble the prints. And oh, I'm a genius, kind of. I just found my silicon socks. Okay, so it's a V6 stock. Like these are E3D pieces, like to go with the E3D print head. No sponsors, but hey, E3D, if you ever see this, I'll show your stuff. Your stuff's pretty damn awesome. Except for the nozzles that you have, the basic ones. I don't know. I'm partial to the Bondtech nozzles myself. I've got them on all of my printers, also not sponsored, but they're really amazing little nozzles because they have an extra path to cut the filament while it's getting heated, so it increases the surface area. I have a few here that I can actually, yeah, I'll be able to show you. If you haven't seen these nozzles, they are great, but they have sort of a little cut. It's kind of hard to see it. Do I have my light around here? Maybe. Okay, well, anyways, it's a actually phone light. Let's see here if you can see it. Yeah, kind of hard, a little bit easier to see, but yeah, there is a little block in there. Okay. Okay, just slightly distracted there. Okay, yeah, all that just for a stuck filament. And okay, yes, I'm wiping the board with my hand. That's the print bed with my hand. That's not great. It's leaving grease on it. So I use like a combination of like these little Swiffer pads to clean it off. Then I have some isopropyl that I spray on it as well, which I will get to before I set it up for the print. Okay, so I'm just going to finish reassembling this. I don't need to change anything else on here. Everything else was fine. Okay. So a small little, so yeah, I guess that's kind of like the lesson of this is like really pay attention when your printer is almost running out of filament, because even if you do have a run out detection system like the Prusas have, it can still fail and cause you a little bit of a nightmare. Let's see here. What am I looking for? I'm not looking for, yes I am. Oh, I flipped it over to the side so I couldn't see it. Okay, let's see here. Okay. So we're just going to go reassemble this. Gotta make sure the silicon sock is nice and secure. And then I'm just going to start reassembling. I'm going to pop this gear back in, which I need the little kicker. And this is fine. It'll just take, oops, this dropped out. Okay. And there we go. That's the top. So we just got to take our Allen key and just screw these back in. You want to make sure they're nice and tight, but not too tight. Like the ABS plastic that these are printed out of will or can break if you apply too much pressure on it. And then that's not going to be anything good. Let's just see if I can get a nicer angle here. All right. And yeah, okay, let's see here. Okay, so I screwed a couple of the top one in, not too super tight, because we still need to connect in with the bottom piece here. Make sure we're not clamping any cables. And take the screws and start putting them back in. Okay. Keep screwing this in. Come on. Did I maybe? Oh, I just have to keep tightening it. Okay. That's better. I think I'm. And yeah, it's probably good if you sort of keep your screws identified. Did I take that one out or not? Oh, yeah, I did. So I gotta put this one back in. Oh. Sorry, it's kind of hard to like get some angles, some good angles with this, doing this all as one shot, but that is just simply, oh, that's just what that's what I have. Come on. So this is like, of course, like the reason why I've been finding the Prusas a little bit annoying, because I do find that the Crealties have been, well, actually I haven't had a good filament jam on a Crealty yet. Don't exactly know what that means, but whatever. Okay. Oh. And, oh, no, I'm putting this in the right way. And it looks like you only have to take one of those screws out. Okay, that's good. Put the other long screw in here. Okay. Yeah, so like, doesn't take a long time to take this off to do it, but it is a little bit. It's just a little bit tedious, I guess. That's kind of really all that it is. And yeah, it'd work better and smoother if I had everything available, but you know, first time, so. Oh boy. Let's see. It's going good. I just need to put the fan back in. Okay, top screw, and then bottom screw. Okay, this should now be working. I'm going to go get some isopropyl to do a quick clean of this. In the meantime, I'm going to start powering this up, preparing it for a filament load, and then we're going to do a first layer calibration test just to make sure. Blackout occurred, recover print, no, because I already took it off and threw it at the wall in frustration. Okay, so we're going to preheat, and I'm going to preheat PLA, just using the standard Prusa settings. And while I get the ISO, I will be right back. Okay. So printer's almost ready. It's at 160. So I'm just standard first aid isopropyl alcohol is the cleaning solution I use. 99%. You don't really want a lot of water in this because it's not disinfection that you're looking at. It's just cleaning, pure raw cleaning. And if this if the isopropyl doesn't work to clean the bed, you should then try, like if you're having bed adhesion issues, then you should try just standard dish soap. Any kind of a dish soap will work well to clean it. Make sure that when you're handling the plate, you're handling it by its sides. I should have, yeah. It's like yeah, I'll just grab the camera. You can probably see here, there's going to be a few fingerprints and oil prints. Yeah. So those are potentially going to cause you, let's see a little oil shine there. This camera's not great at focusing, but whatever. But anyways, that will cause adhesion issues because the oils from your fingers will prevent the material from sticking to the bed. So cleaning is just with some isopropyl, 99%. Just gonna spray it on. Okay, printer is preheated. That's good. Okay, I generally gotta have 2 of these Swiffer things. Like it will evaporate very quickly since this is heated plate. I should have tried to clean this before. This should be okay, but let's just try a little bit more. And this, like, ultimately should be fine. Yeah, I think that's going to be fine. Okay. So, printer's preheated. We are now going to load the filament. And of course, you do want to make sure your filament is kind of angled a little bit for this. I like to use just some nail clippers and kind of clip both ends just to make it a little bit sharper for the camera to say I do shit. Actually, not most of the time. I do kind of just try and clip it at 45, and that seems to generally work. Okay, so the loading hasn't worked because I didn't tighten this, so the loading didn't work immediately. So gotta get back and fix that one there up. Filament extruded with correct color. Well, it did get a little bit of it in. Let's see here. Okay. Now it's tightened. Again, the nut should be a little bit, or the screw should be a little bit into the head of the nut over here. You can see that. And then I'm going to say it did not extrude with the correct color to prompt it to extrude more. Okay, I now feel the filament going through, and it's extruding quite nicely out here. Yes, it's extruding properly. Okay, now that it's preheated, we should be able to go directly into the first layer calibration. Okay, now since we did change and maintain the printer, you are going to want to double check your Z offset. If I can get the contrast right, 2.168 millimeters. That should be okay, but if you want to be safe, you can always just re-level your bed starting at 0, keeping in place the previous measurement, and just start cranking it from the start. Okay, let's see here. So let's just give it a sec for it to finish heating up. And we'll see if this build plate is clean enough or if I have to clean it with more ISO. Okay. Okay, so I do use the 49 point bed leveling. Does take a little bit more time, but it does build a much more accurate 3D map of the build plate to help compensate should there be any warping. It is a really nice, neat, fancy feature, but I've kind of found that like even just with glass build plates, it's just as fine. But I do really appreciate the fact that the Prusas have the detachable build plate that just lets you pop off models when they're done. Okay. So it looks like we're going good. Okay, so here I'm just going to start dialing it in because I knew it was at negative 2.18. So yeah, when I say just crank it, just crank it. Like it will start to adhere. That's just because it's dropping. But you do want to have a good eye on it to make sure that you don't start scratching the build plate, because I have done that multiple times. Okay, we're starting to get close to where it was. And the reason why we're retesting the calibration is just to make sure nothing really shifted while we disassembled and reassembled it. Make sure nothing's catching. And I do find that with the Prusa bed leveling, it's really, I find I can really only dial it in at the kind of last little bit. So while it's nice having the automated thing built into the Prusa, I would like a nicer pattern. Okay, I need to dial that down a fair bit more. 2.2, then that should be perfect. Or not, who knows. We'll have to see how that ends up. I'm thinking maybe there is some adhesion issues, but I can probably just remedy that with a quick wash without having to re-level the bed. That's actually a better kind of way to do it. Okay, so now we got the first layer. You can see the first little test pattern that I printed to clear the nozzle was too high, so it just squiggled. The rest of the stuff just kind of squiggles off the build plate too, and then you finally get adhesion at the end here. You're looking for really close together, tight layers. Now, this looks to be okay. Yeah, these are kind of the layers. Oops, I'll refocus it. These are kind of like what you want to have, like a real nice first layer. That'll be good. Okay, so this is now one printer maintained and ready to go. I should have used yellow filament because I need to print something yellow. Okay, so I'm going to go and get this printer started and start working on a test pattern, but I need to grab the filament, so I will be right back. Okay, there I got this nice little yellow filament, and I guess since we're streaming, I'll show you what I'm printing. Let's just open up Blender. Red and yellow cards. I'm not sure if any of you play soccer, but you commit a foul, you get a yellow card. You commit 2 fouls, you get a red card. And I am printing these for reasons surrounding communication. Yeah, yeah. Oops, gotta set the stream up to show you guys the Blender. Blender is now up. Okay. Transition, and then this will actually make the rest of this a little bit easier because now I actually have something to fill the rest of the screen. There we go. Challenge is I'm using wide monitor. That's one thing I didn't actually consider when getting it. And then we will be slicing with Cura to get this initial print ready. And I'm going to go and grab another thing. I'm going to grab a uninterruptible power supply because I'm going to have the printer running in this room here because I don't want to spend too much time in the other room. Okay, so the reason why I like to attach my printers to an uninterruptible power supply, even if they do have the power on backup thingamajigger, take off, is I just don't want the interruptions. Like I'm trying to run multiple printers simultaneously, so any downtime and failed models can potentially cost a lot. So I'm just going to go plug this in to the corner. Let's see here. There we go. Okay. Okay. One printer maintained. Now we're getting the file for printing. Okay. So I have this model in Blender. It's going to be yellow cards for communicating. Well, one was going to be a red card. And I will put the other capture into My slicer, Cura. Okay, so now we're going into Cura. Okay. Actually, I'm going back to Blender because I need to export the files. Okay. Okay. So even though I have Prusa printers, I do like to use the Cura slicer, mainly for its lightning support pattern. And I'll get there in a second. Yeah, red and yellow cards. Whatever, I'll just print them off. Okay, so it scaled it to 100,000%, and that's fine. We'll figure out this slicing thing there. But I'm printing with a 0.3 layer height, and we're just gonna see how these print. Okay, let's see here. Hour and 44 minutes to print all of these. Okay, so this is the lightning support that I like. I find it gives really awesome and interesting patterns to any sort of lightly colored or semi-translucent things. Actually, that's the thing. I should print these in semi-translucent. Then this would actually look a lot cooler. Okay, like that's kind of like a thing about the design and slicing is the slicing can actually be used to add a lot of kind of neat and unique little details to your prints if you know how to work with the proper settings. Now, this is definitely not going to be a full comprehensive tutorial on this stuff here. I'm just doing some quick little slicing. But in this case here, I'm trying to get the lightning infill to kind of shine through the cards. So I've reduced some of the initial layers. And there we go. We should have a nice lightning support. And in an hour and 38 minutes, it should finish printing with the current settings I have. Let me see here. Where is the speed? Okay. Yep, these are all settings that I'm good and comfortable with. And actually, I don't want to print the third one, so I'm just going to move it off the build plate. Oh, since it's the same object, I have to keep them on the build plate. Okay. But I am also going to change the scale because I don't want it 5 centimeters. I want it 2.5 millimeters high. That will impact the layers a bit, so I'm going to change down to 0.2 millimeters, 0.25 millimeters instead of 0.3. That'll just ensure that the bottom layers, which I set for 2 layers, and the top for 2 layers, stay nice and thin, but still being adequately supported by I actually want to change that a little bit. Okay, like see, this is awesome, or this is often the thing, and that makes me spend about an hour or two slicing as I start playing with it. I start looking at the settings, examining it. Okay, this looks like it's going to print a lot nicer just with the direction of the lines and the supports. So you'll get that nice concentric background. Okay, yeah, this will work perfectly. Okay, so I'm going to. I'm not using Octopi yet, so I need to still put these little disky thingamajiggers in the printer manually. And normally I have my printers in my other room, so it serves just as kind of a good little bit of exercise to get me up and out of my chair to the other room. And frankly, I like having my printers in the other room because they put off a lot of heat. That's actually a good point. I should double check the temperature settings. 235 and 60. Yep, for PLA, that's perfectly fine. Okay, I'm going to go get the transparent yellow, and then I will start this printing. And we'll see what kind of close-ups I can get with this camera. I should have put it on the extension cord before I started streaming. Oh well, next time. Yellow translucent. Ah, okay. Translucent yellow filament. This stuff's absolutely awesome. I tend to like to print most of my things with translucent filaments because I do like working with light and color and general stuff like that. Mostly I do try and put stuff in kind of like the normal color spectrum. This air conditioner is blocking the view of the printer. I'll move it. But yes, like, sorry. But that's true. Even up here in Canada, we still need air conditioners. Oh man, it was so hot last year. Like 30, 35, 40 degrees Celsius. Like in Canada. That is ridiculous. Okay, so I'm going to have to hit the unload filament button with the PLA preheat. Just simply because it hit the auto temperature time off setting thinger and shut off. The auto shut off. That's what I meant to say. Okay. Going to get this air conditioner out of here. Okay. Chaos. Okay. So we're waiting for that to preheat. There we go. Unloading the filament. Okay, and the filament's going in there. Okay. Now we can save it to disk. No, save it to removable drive. Okay, it's ready. This beeped. It's extruding properly. That's good enough. Oof, hot. Yes, and then I'm just going to go and print it. Okay, now it's going to quickly spin up. And then now we can get to the next problem. Yep. Okay, let's see here. This printer. What was wrong with this printer again? I think it was leaking. No. No, actually, no. I think this one is actually good and ready to test. I think I was actually distracted last time. We'll see if we can get this one started here. And then if this does work, I'm going to see if I can get this one started on, I don't know, a set of chainmail or something like that, chainmail coasters. Just kind of trying to do weird things. This one doesn't have the sock on it, so I'm going to see if I can just fit that on quickly before I turn it on. I find the socks are easier to put on when you got the whole thing kind of disassembled. Other than that, they're a little harder to sort of squeeze in there. There we go. That's one side. Okay. And the other thing the silicone socks help with, in addition to preventing small little winds from maybe messing with the temperature, there's thermal sensors causing a thermal runaway, but it also generally doesn't have the filament stick to it. though I think that's mostly PLA because I've been using it with PETG and it has been sticking a little bit. So I'm just going to plug this little gutter in here. Okay. Let's see, how are we doing here? Okay, so we're still streaming. Okay. I'm getting confused with too many things going on at the same time. Okay. Okay, so this one I wanted to do the full layer calibration and wanted to load it. Okay, yep, so this is another case, a little bit of a rounded end, but I'm going to cut that off just so that we can put it into the printer and hopefully not have a jam. So PETG is different than PLA. It's a different formulation. It's like what you get in an Nalgene bottle. And then PLA is made from kind of mostly plants. Okay. Okay, well this thing's printing now. Let's see how close we can get. Yeah. Sorry, that's as close as I can get. I'll have to put an extension cord on this for the next stream. Or just halt this stream and just restart it. Literally no one's watching, but frankly, or two people watching. Oh, interesting. Wow. Cool. Okay, still waiting for it. Anyone who is just joining, just finished one printer maintenance, stuck PLA filament in the PFDE tube. Oh, perfect. Now we can load the filament on this. And now we're just testing this PETG Prusa printer. Going to do a first layer calibration, and if it works, that's the second printer maintained. I did some work on this one yesterday. The hot end was leaking, and I think it is fine to restart now. It's extruding. Like I do find that PETG does stick to these silicon socks a little bit. I'm not too keen on. Seems to be extruding properly. Let's see. I'm just trying to clean this off a little bit. That should hopefully be okay. And so let's go and just go into our first layer calibration. Negative 2.197. Okay, so we're going to start from 0 just because I don't want to dig the extruder into the print bed here. That's something that's generally classified as bad when you're scraping your print bed. And I've done it multiple times. So if you do it to your printer, don't worry about it. I've done it so many times. So many times, especially when I haven't thought to re-level the bed after I changed from like from the traditional Prusa steel sheet to the other steel sheet, the textured one. Which actually, the textured one, it is like from what I found, it is shit for the adherence of PLA. Pretty damn good for the adherence of PETG, but not if you're using a lot of really small things. Like I've had so many prints of these little chainmail things fail just because one little tile doesn't stick to the bed, and then the whole thing just peels off. Frustrating when you're trying to go through all these little prints and it just keeps failing. I got like a little pile of half-finished links to chains that are now. I have to try and find something to do with it, like either melt it, shut it down, or grind it down, remelt it, and try and make filament out of it. Like, I guess that's what the ultimate path is. Okay, so we're starting to print now, or at least do the first layer calibration. I find it helps a lot if you have a really bright light source behind your printer. And then if you get down to about eye level, you can usually see the full print bed. And then you can adjust the Z height so that you are squishing your filament into the sheet. And I find it's always good to have a spare little thing of filament handy to just try and dislodge anything that's getting stuck while it's doing its leveling, because since we're working with such high heat, there is stuff that does kind of seep through. Okay, so now it's starting. We're gonna dial it in. So with all this dialing here, I've only reached now -1 millimeters. I'm gonna keep going to -2. Okay. Now the thing with the, okay, I'm at -2. With this steel sheet, the textured one, you do have to kind of squish it in. Oh man, it's sticking to the sock a lot. And not to the sheet at all. See if I can fix that by dialing it in a little bit more. Oh, it's starting to look better. Still dialing it in more. Something is. It's not scratching, but it is printing really weird. I think I'm gonna have to redo this first layer without the silicon lock, because the PETG is just, it's such a sticky material when it's printing. I think I just gotta take the sock off. Yeah, it's gonna finish printing in a second. I'll show you what kind of a mess this is. Like, yeah, no test pattern on the build plate. It's kind of hard to see. Yeah, it's just kind of backing up. Okay, there. Like, this should not have happened. And this, I don't know, this almost looks like maybe some kind of a clog, or maybe it's just getting wrapped up inside the sock. So let's go and take that off. Use pliers because it's going to be hot, because it was just at 230 degrees printing. Okay. Oops. Okay, that's gone now. Okay, the rest of this still looks fine. Don't be careful fiddling around with the hot plate if you have power on. I clicked some things together and it sparked and shut off the printer. Fortunately, nothing blew up. So we're going to try this again. Just going to do the first layer calibration, and we're going to continue from where we were just left off. It wasn't scratching the bed. It was pretty low, but so overall pretty good. Okay, now we just got to wait for this thing. Oh, got to select the temperature I want if I want the bed to heat. Let's see here. The first layer on that print over there seems to be going pretty good. Just waiting for this to keep starting. Let's see. Yeah, this is the boring thing, waiting for your printer to heat up. Okay, it's going again. It is more timely to use the 9-point calibration on the Prusa bed, obviously. Okay, so let's have a look at this. Okay, still not really. Oh, yep, it is sticking. Still got that little glob. Oh, there the globule went. Okay, it's sticking. Or not really. Wow, it is just super fucking sticky. So that's pretty indicative that I think I need to really clean this bed because it is just gumming up like mad and nothing is sticking at all. Yeah, I need to clean this bed. Yeah, now with these beds, you want to make sure you're not using like acetone or anything super corrosive on it. That's where these things tend to fail. I don't know, it's low enough that I did it here because the initial layer stick there, but everything else is just gumming up to the end. Well, it did start to stick a little bit at the end here, but yeah, that's clearly a fail. I want to go and get the filament off the hot end quickly. Yeah, just a great big gummy mess. Ah, there we go. This little gummy mess is why it didn't print. Okay. Clean this, be right back and clean this off. A little warm, a little hot. This one. Okay, now that the thing is cleaned, I'm just going to wipe off a little bit of the excess water. Both sides. And the print bed. Going to give it a quick ISO wash. And if this does not take care of the bed adhesion problems, I am going to switch this back to PLA. And then we're going to go through the whole calibration again on another steel sheet. Because, of course, this steel sheet is a lot thinner than the default steel sheet, but like I said earlier, this steel sheet sucks for PLA adhesion. So we are going to go and redo this first layer calibration. Negative 2.235 millimeters, that's fine. We're going to continue from it. PET. Okay, now the bed's heating. Should be nice and clean now that we've actually dealt with that. Don't know if that's really doing anything or not, but whatever, it kind of looks cool. Okay, so that one looks to be printing fairly good. It's been there for 20 minutes. Still doing the second layer, but that should be done fairly soon, and then it'll start getting the lightning layers, last top layer. I think it was an hour 18 or hour 20 print, or an hour 30. Either way. Okay. So I am thinking about doing regular streams often and actually posting them ahead of time, announcing them, you know, like the proper way to do a stream. So I generally like doing things that match, kind of like how Stan Lee had Peter Parker, Bruce Banner, Sunday stream, streaming Sunday, streaming Saturday. I don't know. I'll have to see which one kind of works with me. Maybe streaming Saturday or something like that. Do a couple streams, get some stuff working off in the morning, and head on out and do the rest of the day. It is amazing how long these beds take to heat up sometimes. I'm literally just waiting for the printer to heat up. Here we go. We will see now if the sticky PLA is going to stick. To the bed, that is. I want to stick into the bed, not the nozzle. Let's see here. I might have just made this worse. I'm just going to let it do its thing. Okay, there we go. It looks like we're adhering. Might be a little bit low. Oh, and we're back to the messy, slushy stuff. Oh, looks like maybe we got it. It is just not sticking. It doesn't even look like it's extruding properly. It's kind of hard to tell with it building up on the extruder. Okay, now it's adhering. So maybe the problem with this is just the bed. And we're going to have to diagnose more of those sea level issues. Okay, yeah, because now that's starting to look like a proper first layer. Let's see here. Yeah, that's a better first layer. Still not sure why the rest of it's not printing. Don't exactly want to start something complex on a bed that's not printing. I'm going to try the leveling, or the I'm going to do a Z calibration on this, see if that fixes it. Because I was manually tweaking these columns before, so that might be why. Maybe there's a little skew. Clean the nozzle for calibration. Yep, I'm doing that. Yeah, I guess I should mention that insulated pliers are the best because the heat does travel pretty fast. Clean off all this junk. Just gonna do the Z calibration again. And then we'll try the first layer again. And that should speed it up a little bit. Okay, that seemed to be doing okay. There we go, calibration again. We're going to do a belt test. 245. 239. Okay, so we could adjust the belt a little bit on that, maybe. Shouldn't have too much of an issue because this is still within tolerance. The Y started at 245, and oh, whoa, the Y is now up to 260. Okay, so there's tension in the Y belt that we need to address. The foolish thing about the Prusa belt calibration is it gives you two numbers and you kind of just have to try and get them close to about 240 and keep both the numbers within like about 20 points of each other. Okay, so I'm gonna go and just think I have to tighten this a little bit. So I'm just tightening the screw on the bottom here because that should lower the Y. And I'm going to adjust the X. I'm going to tighten the X a little bit too. And I'm just going to do the belt test again. So for anyone that's thinking, 3D printers, you just put a file in and you print and it's easy and it's never hard. Well, I've been streaming for like 77 minutes. Oh, error. Loose pulley motor X. Okay, so the adjustment I did to X did not work. So I have to adjust the thing I did to X. Okay, maybe tighten it again. The pulley, make sure that hasn't flipped off. Looks fine. So yeah, this is the thing. 3D printer isn't just file print. It's print, maintenance, self-test, error. Then you have to retest it. Retest it, retest it. Okay, belt test. And the values here don't really have too much translatable. So 239 to 237, okay, that's fine. Then 260 to, what is it going to end up as? 254. Okay, so I want to adjust that a little bit more. I want to tighten the Y a little bit more to drop the value. Like these are probably fine for the printer, but I do like to have the values closer tied together. And you do actually want to be careful not to over tighten any of the belts because that actually will cause your prints to fail as well. You'll get some jumps and leveling issues and it's just... Okay, let's see here. Calibration. Belt test again. So X, the previous value was 239. And like it's okay if these drift a little bit. It's going to. These machines aren't perfect yet. It's not like the Star Trek replicators. Okay, so 237, 237, same value, nothing changed. That's good. Let me see here. 254 to 251. Okay. I think I'm going to tighten the X a little bit more. $252. Okay, good enough. So we're going to go and we're going to do the first layer calibration. And now we wait again for the thing to start going. Maybe it's just not hot enough. Because that could be an issue because heat does help with the adherence for PETG. It's kind of funny, like I was expecting it to be able to do like maybe 4 or 5 printers in this time, but nope. So we're just going to have to keep seeing how this goes. Well, I guess while I'm waiting for that one, I'll get the next printer prepped. Uh, yeah, I got another printer to grab. Ready. We're still waiting for the bed to heat. Now it is coming out the nozzle. Next, I'm going to tune the nozzle up to 245. Just give it that little bit of extra temperature to melt it. Okay, it's almost ready to go. Printer number 1 is doing okay. There we go. Okay. Yeah, the thing is, it is printing, but it's sticking to the bloody nozzle. Okay. Okay, now it's looking better. We're still having little adhesion issues. This is kind of leading me to think that maybe the nozzle is clogged. Which, you know, can happen. That's actually probably what this is. The nozzle's probably clogged. So I'm going to have to disassemble this thing and get it back and try and unclog the nozzle. So that's a completely different thing to address. It can print that fine, but the lines, yeah, it's got to be a issue with the nozzle being clogged, I think. Yeah, This looks like the nozzle's clogged. So that's going to be why this is having problems. Okay, well, anyways, like we'll have to wait for this printer to cool down now, because I don't exactly like working on scalding hot pieces. But also, I've been doing this for about an hour and a half straight, and I think I need a break. So I think that'll call it for the first live stream. Had a bunch of troubleshooting with the printers, troubleshooting with the live streams. But hey, don't let this discourage you. 3D printing is still an amazing tool, an awesome hobby. The machines just need a little bit of work. And the cameraman needs a little bit of work, which is currently a camera sitting on my computer monitor. So hey, just get into the whole continuous improvement mindset, and keep working on this. And eventually, yeah, I'm rambling now because I've lost thought. Okay, see you guys later. Oh, it didn't disconnect the stream because it had a pop